Imagine your entire tribe, 60 of you, gathered around a fire. Someone stands. They point at you. They tell you to leave and not come back. No trial, no appeal, just the fire, growing smaller behind you as you walk into the dark. You might think death was the worst punishment early humans could hand down. It wasn't. There was something they feared more, something they used far more sparingly, because it was, in its own way, crueler. Banishment. That fear didn't disappear when the fires went out, and the tribes scattered. It's still in you, right now, waiting for the smallest excuse to wake up. You'd expect early humans to fear predators most. Lions, snakes, falling, starving, and they did fear these things. But there was something that outranked all of them, something that could kill just as surely, only slower. Exclusion from the group. Here's why that mattered so much. A single human, alone on the savannah 60,000 years ago, was not built to survive. No claws, no armor, no real speed. Your ancestors were slow, soft-skinned, and easy to kill. What kept them alive wasn't strength, it was numbers. Anthropologist Sarah Blaffer-Hrdy has spent decades studying early human child-rearing, and her research points to something surprising. Human infants required so much care for so many years that no single mother could have raised one alone. Early humans practiced what Hrdy calls cooperative breeding. Aunts, grandmothers, older siblings, and unrelated group members all helped keep a child alive. You know the saying, it takes a village. Take away the group, and you didn't just lose companionship, you lost the entire support system your survival depended on. So banishment wasn't a social inconvenience. It was closer to a death sentence. This is why your brain still treats social rejection like a physical threat. Neuroscientist Naomi Eisenberger ran a study in the early 2000s using a simple computer game called Cyberball. Participants played a virtual game of catch with two other players, except the other players weren't real. They were programmed to eventually stop throwing the ball to the participant, freezing them out. While this happened, Eisenberger scanned their brains. The regions that lit up were the same regions that activate during physical pain. Your brain, it turns out, does not fully distinguish between a broken bone and a broken bond. Isn't that strange? A game, fake players, and still real pain. Psychologist Kipling Williams took this further with decades of ostracism research, some of it involving nothing more than being ignored in a park by two strangers tossing a frisbee. Even brief, meaningless exclusion from people we don't know and will never see again produces measurable distress. Williams found this response was nearly universal, showing up across cultures, ages, and personality types. It didn't matter if the rejection came from strangers, or if the participants knew the exclusion was staged, the alarm still fired. Your brain isn't asking whether the threat is real, it's asking whether you're still counted as one of us. Consider what exile actually looked like for early humans. No walls to hide behind, no stored food to fall back on, no way to signal for help across long distances. To be cast out of the group meant facing predators alone, finding water alone, defending yourself against rival groups alone. Historical and anthropological accounts of small-scale societies, including work by researchers studying groups like the Juhuanzi of the Kalahari, describe banishment as one of the most severe punishments a community could impose, reserved for only the gravest offenses. Worse, in some cases, than execution, because execution ended things quickly. Exile made you die slowly and alone. Your ancestors who felt nothing when threatened with exclusion didn't pass on their genes. The ones who felt a jolt of fear, who worked hard to stay in the group's good graces, who noticed the moment a friend went quiet, who apologized fast and made peace faster, those were the ones who survived long enough to have children. Generation after generation, this fear was sharpened, not because your ancestors were needy, because they were paying attention to the single greatest threat to their survival. That is what you inherited. This connects to something else your brain does constantly, something researcher Robin Dunbar has spent his career mapping. Dunbar proposed that the human brain evolved its size largely to manage social relationships, not to solve math problems or build tools. He estimated that humans can maintain around 150 stable social connections, a number now known as Dunbar's number. Your brain, in other words, is fundamentally a social organ. It is built to track who is close to you, who might be drifting, and who could turn against you. This tracking never fully switches off. So when your phone stays quiet, when a friend doesn't reply, when you walk into a room and the conversation pauses, some old deep part of your mind still reads these as danger signals. Not because you're weak, because you're human, and this is what humans have always done. Here's the twist. In the modern world, this ancient alarm is almost always wrong. Nobody is going to abandon you on the savannah because you left a text unanswered. Your survival, right now, does not depend on being chosen for the group, and yet the feeling shows up anyway, uninvited, sharp as ever. Why would evolution leave you with an alarm this loud, this outdated? Because evolution doesn't remove alarms, just because the danger has changed. It only removes alarms that stop working, and this one still works, in its own strange way. It still gets your attention. It still makes you reach out, apologize, check in, show up. The circuitry built for a hostile savannah is now firing in comment sections and group chats, but the underlying function, keeping you connected to people, hasn't changed at all. Think about the last time you felt truly left out. Maybe it was small, a meeting you weren't invited to, a photo online from a gathering you didn't know about. The feeling probably arrived fast, and it probably felt bigger than the situation deserved. That gap between how minor the event was and how large the feeling felt is the fingerprint of something ancient. You weren't overreacting. You were running code written for a world where exclusion meant death. So the next time that cold feeling shows up, when the message doesn't come, when the room goes quiet, when you're the one left off the list, you can recognize it for what it actually is. Not proof that something is wrong with you. Evidence that your brain is doing exactly what it was built to do, protecting you from the oldest threat your species ever faced. Somewhere in you, the fire is still burning, and you are still standing close enough to feel its warmth. That's not weakness. That's memory.